Hi everyone, welcome to training.
Is there mold in every house? Yes. Especially in some girl house.
How long do mold take to test to get back?
I think it was like 4 days.
Oh, yeah.
I have a client that just messaged me, a future client. She's like, I need to test for mold.
I know.
My son's allergies are bad. And I was like, they're like, everyone's allergies are bad. Like, let me know how it goes.
I should probably. I know.
I'm sure I would.
It's so good.
Oh
my goodness. First three here.
Hello. Yeah, how are you here?
Well, they mold everywhere. Right, it's all wet and it's the wet leaves on the ground moldy that make people's allergies have this time of year.
Yeah, because it's such a unique thing.
So,
They loved it.
they organized.
Yeah.
And even, like, sometimes it gets worse when we go to the lake house. Like, sometimes my allergies get really bad. And I'm like, what's so different?
So that was Katie's kind of the issue was.
Again?
I just knew it. I was so disappointed.
Do you guys eat the sweets if I bring them in here?
No, please don't.
Avoid. Okay, I'll focus on health.
Everybody wants to look sexy naked.
Everybody what?
I would just like to say that everything is being recorded right now.
This is a snapshot of everyday life.
Yes, I love it.
I love it. I love it. That's the
How big she turns.
I'm very comfortable with my nudity, so I'm the first to have it. I'm okay.
Oh boy. Oh my
She
gosh.
started it, not me. This
I
time.
must think it's your jacket, I can tell.
It's the spray tan, isn't it?
It's this great. Yeah.
Guys, thanks so much for coming this morning. It's great to have this amazing group of you guys here on a Monday morning at 9 a.m. What a fun way to start the week. Yeah, so I know I already just said this, but we are going to attempt to start recording trainings.
Now unless they're gonna show up.
I know. Well, I hope that doesn't happen. But we've had lots of requests to record training, so we're going to give it a go. So, welcome to Organize Your Life. Jess will be leading most of the session, and then just for the last couple of minutes, I'm going to demo a couple of technology tools that we have already that you guys can use. So, without further ado. Oh yeah. Let me go grab that actually.
Okay.
My office.
Is it really?
Really, man.
It's making you work for it.
So it's productive.
Yeah.
It's like celery, right? Like it takes you so much time to count it that it's like a negative.
All right. This is a sharing session, so I would love for everyone to kind of share some things that maybe they do along the way. Feel free to chime in with things that you've done that help, because not everyone is going to have the same situation as I do, and so some of the tips I have might not apply to you in your life and your work style. So please feel free to chime in. I'm going to start on personal life. We all have a personal life, or at least I hope you do. And it's really important to plan time for yourself. I would say in this career, you can work around the clock, right? We're kind of on call sometimes. So for those of you who are more experienced, don't feel bad, or even the newbies, like don't feel bad about not working in the middle of the day, right? Like we work nights and weekends, yourself some time off. Time blocking, I'm going to talk about this both in personal life and in your work life. But make appointments for personal life. This is something I didn't do in the beginning and I started doing later in my career. But if my kids want to go on a hike, if I have something scheduled with my husband and someone requests like to see a house, let's be honest, like I scheduled 1 hour with my family. Like whatever we're doing is taking 1 hour and I can tell my client I have an appointment. I don't have to go into the details of that appointment. I don't have to tell them it's with my kids or my family, but I have an appointment. Is 5 o'clock better than 4 o'clock for you, or can we do earlier in the day? And time block for your family. That's really important. And remember, that's because we work after hours and on the weekends. Ooh, this is giving yourself time off. So plan a day off, at least one day where you're not coming into the office, you're not meeting with clients if possible. I know that's hard in a market where things are selling quickly, but kind of figure out a day that works well on a weekly basis where you can give yourself a day off. For me, that's Wednesdays often. Sometimes it flips between Wednesday and Thursday, but I found like Wednesday is usually a pretty nice day to have off if I'm working the weekends. Usually there's not as many new listings on a Tuesday or Wednesday, I've found. A lot of those are on Thursday and Friday. So clients might call you on Thursday and want to see a house that evening or the next day. So that's why I've kind of figured Wednesdays, Mondays and Tuesdays, I'm often like catching up from the weekend. Have any others found like days off challenging, or are there specific days that you guys take off?
I found it really hard to turn off since it started.
Yeah. And when I say take off, I'm definitely not turning off. I'm not turning off my phone, but I'm being intentional and not scheduling meetings on those days. When someone's asking to meet like the next week, if it's flexible, I'm not going to schedule it on a Wednesday. I'm going to try to get them in on Tuesday or Thursday rather than on Wednesday.
I think I used to try to really spread out meetings because I thought it would make me happier, but really now if I have a day that's already kind of back to back and there's room to schedule one more, I'll try to make my day where it's like that's my day out versus if I have a day off where I'm just kind of working from home but can also like do laundry, hang out, relax a little bit. I really try to jam pack my stuff that's like face to face on certain days and kind of like what you do. I don't think that I have a specific day, but
Yeah.
I will try to push people, and same with even showings, you know. I always try to talk to my buyers, which I know that this probably isn't super popular, but I'm like, yeah, you know, the more that we can stick to, you know, non-related evening hours would be ideal. Like I try to have a life too, especially now that it's getting dark, but I always say, you know, 8 a.m. is a great time for empty houses, if we can go over your lunch break, or if you can sneak away from work at like 4 o'clock, that would just be ideal so we get to miss traffic.
Yeah.
So I kind of try to make it sound like it's a valuable thing to go more during the day. It doesn't always work, but
Yeah. And I think something you said there is really important, like your day off, like we all need a day at home to like catch up on our personal life, like your laundry, like shopping. We can really run ourselves into the ground in this career, so like giving yourself that time to like catch up and do the things you need to at home is really important.
I worked with an agent in Chicago who was pretty successful, and after he established himself, he said it at 7:30 at night, his voicemail would say, hey, I'm available if you really need me, but otherwise I will return your call in the morning. He said, because I was doing stuff till 10 o'clock at night, because I couldn't do that anymore. So, and it worked pretty well for him.
Yeah, do you guys use that feature on your phone where like silent hours, do not disturb? Yeah.
yeah, and you can backfill it so that like people in your life it will still ring for, like if it's an emergency, but it's silent every. Yeah, like I had a client calling at 9:36 last night, and I was like, I saw it, and I was just like, no.
Yeah, I definitely use the do not disturb. It comes on every night at 10 o'clock. I know that's like.
Ooh.
That's why
But
it comes on so
sometimes I'm in bed by 10 o'clock, or my husband's in bed by 10 o'clock, and the phone ringing and dinging like it does, all the emails that we might be getting, can be really disturbing. And after 10 o'clock, usually there's nothing that I can do that evening to help someone. Not to say that I haven't been on the phone past 10 o'clock with clients, I absolutely have, but you know when you have those urgent situations going on and you're watching your phone, you shouldn't be disturbed or disturbing your partner after a certain time, so give yourself some sanity and use do not disturb.
Does anyone, I'm curious, does anyone shut off completely for like a couple of hours or half a day? Like, does anyone do that? Yeah, like your phone is off, your computer is off. I'm sorry.
Wait, phones turn off?
I mean, does it go off? Does the phone turn? Wait, Spencer, I saw you shaking your head. What do you do?
Yeah, it's really hard, but I am really trying to like start leaving my phone places, honestly, like especially on my even if it's just for like 4 hours, like leave it at the house when I go do something. If I'm going to the park with the kids and then there's an emergency, and I'm on my phone like stressed out and texting or whatever, like I'm not at the park anymore.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be my day off. So honestly, for me personally, I feel like my phone is kind of a problem. And I'm like looking for excuses not to have it on me.
Yeah.
Which I know is counterintuitive for our business, but
Yeah.
I wanna know what this day off is that you say.
Does anyone do anything different with their notification settings? So obviously my role is pretty different from yours, but I only get notifications for calls and texts. So I don't set on any of my apps, on any email, I set that to no notifications. Does anyone do something similar, or does that feel like possible? Yeah.
Alright, my phone only makes noise for calls.
Okay.
I need to change that.
It'll pop up with notifications, so I know that I have texts and emails. I don't have any other noises, otherwise I'm too distracted.
Yeah.
I'm constantly looking at my phone.
Yeah.
And that was pretty life changing. It's probably been that way for 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
I think that's really smart. I've been thinking recently, I don't have a smartwatch. I see several of you do, but I feel like that could be maybe a good thing for me, because then I'm not carrying my phone around or not jumping every time like I hear a notification. I'm like, oh, that's just my sister texting me again. Like, I know I don't have to respond to that immediately.
But then
Not that my
when
sister
you're
is
with clients,
unimportant,
though,
but
you're
she
doing
will send
this.
me pictures of just like her hair and
I
but
don't like
do
to
you
do
find it
any
helpful?
replying or anything from my watch, but I'll use it just as notification, especially when I'm shooting or doing pictures, then I don't have to stop and take my phone out and look for it. I can always just kind of like, I can respond to that later, so. I thought with my watch I would probably start to like over respond and be too, but I very easily can look at it and just keep moving on, because I don't like to respond. I feel like, I don't like, it's too much work for my little eyes, but yeah, I definitely can leave it alone.
I feel like there's such rare situations that you need to respond immediately, that if you get back in 20 minutes or an hour, it's still going to be okay, even if you have a timeline. So if it takes you off the tasks or takes you away from the person you're with, whether that's family or a client, I think it's worth it to not have those notifications. But at the same time, like, I have friends with smartwatches, and they drive me crazy when we're doing something together, because they're just like staring at the wrist.
Same. I can't.
No?
Does
No
anyone-
on the smartwatch?
I don't know. Well, and then if you think about it, if you see it, so if I see a notification, that's all I'm thinking about then until I respond, so I just don't wanna know.
Does anyone have a rule about technology when you're with clients? Like, I've read some stuff about agents saying like, I will never look at my phone while I'm with a client, or on the opposite side being like, no, I'm doing my duty to all clients by looking at my phone while I'm with clients. Like, is there any?
I would say I normally will not be looking at my phone, or at least responding back. I will not answer a phone call when I'm with another client. I will not text anyone back when I'm with a client. If I know there is a deadline coming up or that I'm waiting on something important, there have absolutely been times I'm on showings and I tell my clients when I meet them, hey, just so you know, I have a timeline today for a response that's due. At some point I might have to step away, but just for a brief moment, and I try to plan for that as much as I can. but setting those expectations with your clients. Do you guys tell your clients, like, how available are you? Are you telling your clients, when you're first meeting them, maybe, like, the best way of communication, how quickly they can expect responses from you? I always tell my clients, if you need something immediately, text me. If you're emailing me and you need something that day, expect a response within 2 hours. If you don't hear from me in 2 hours, something is probably wrong. Like, go ahead and shoot me a text. But I set an expectation on, hey, I can't always respond immediately. Like, if I'm in a meeting or with another client, it's going to be maybe 2 hours before I get to you. Does anyone do that?
I think I have a very similar method, but I pay for Zillow leads, trying to build, a client base. And if you don't answer your phone, you get deranked. And so you have to answer your phone religiously, even if it's like, hey, I can't talk. Can I call you back? And then you lose the client anyway, but at least you don't get deranked because those Zillow leads are just ruthless. Like I couldn't take a client to see a house, and I literally, in the time that I texted to a team member, the guy had found another agent on Zillow. Like that's just great. So literally, if you're in the restroom, you have to answer the phone. It's that bad.
I try to ask clients what their preferred method of communication is, but I also communicate that I would prefer email. And if we have multiple parties in a transaction, like everybody included, if you do text me, like let's do a group text because odds are your partner has the same question. And that's a pet peeve of mine is when I'm answering the same question twice and we're not all on the same page or one person has information and the other one doesn't. But I use my inbox like a to-do list and I clear it pretty much daily. And so texts I'll read and forget about, but my email is always open, so.
I feel like it's a good idea what you're saying of like setting your expectations for how you respond and communicate, because I think sometimes, and maybe it's my personality, but I think sometimes clients think, like we're all busy, but I think sometimes they think I'm more busy than I actually am. That they like are scared to reach out, or like if the perfect house pops up and they have a window in like 2 hours and I have a window in 2 hours, like we can go see it. So I don't know, I think it could help to just say like I always will respond if you email me or text. But like here's a realistic window of like how quick that happens. I don't know. Does anyone have that problem? Where clients think like they don't want to bother you almost?
I get apologies and I'm like, please don't say you're sorry.
Right.
I'm like, that's my job.
Right.
But I also try not to like get to them and be like, I'm just so busy, I'm so like I try not to even like use that word with them because I think it sets an expectation too.
One of the other things that I think is really important, and we have a unique brokerage here where a lot of agents have formed connections or know each other well, or we're trying to get to know each other well. One of the things I've found beneficial is creating like a group of agents that I trust that are going to know and handle my clients the way I treat them, and this allows me to have a little time off. So I have other agents that are even in this room that I call friends, and they will back me up in a heartbeat. We don't pay each other. We literally just back each other up. If one's out of town and someone has some clients that need to go show a house, someone will jump into it, to that role and take care of their clients. And that can be really beneficial. So for some of you newer agents, I encourage you to like get to know some agents in the room or in the brokerage and find people that can back you up so that you get time off. You shouldn't feel like you can't leave town. Pre-planned vacations. Think about the times in the year that are slower. I know around Thanksgiving time is always pretty slow. I think 4th of July is usually kind of a slow time. January to beginning of March.
We should have Rex run an analysis like he likes to do.
Ooh,
and tell us when the optimal vacation is.
And then you will sell a lot of houses.
Right? They'll be like, I can back everyone up while you're out of town.
I am middle of October because it's slow and everybody wants to list.
But think about that. Think about the times that you've been slow. If you're newer and haven't been in the business that long, like maybe ask some other agents, what is a good time to take that like week-long vacation, so that you're not stressing out on your vacation. And then pre-plan, like have an agent to back you up. Make sure you're ready to go out of town.
Has anyone been successful at that? Like actually left town and not worked? Oh, I once left my cell phone on an 11-day vacation. I left my cell phone and my laptop with another agent. They had a lot of instructions, but they listed and sold 2 houses. It was actually a team of 3 agents. But I had like somebody who was just my command center, and I had 2 people like doing my listing. One doing listings, one doing buyers. And they listed and sold 2 houses for me. Had multiple offers on another listing on my desk when I came back. It was pretty amazing. It was a lot of work to get it ready, and a lot of work the 2 weeks following to get everything back on track. But it was pretty incredible.
That's the way to do it rather than to try to shut off your phone. Is to create a proper backup system. Like, you know, I just had an agent tell me, he's like, I'm in Mexico, that's why my listing is full of errors, and I'm like, admin, like, get
Also,
help.
like, when did you do it? Did you do it from Mexico?
Yeah, he did it from Mexico,
What's the
stole a
excuse?
picture off of another site, and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm confused why yours is $20,000 less higher than the identical picture of the other comp that he clearly stole. He's like, I'm in Mexico. I'm like, you know, get help. Like, have a friend, have a buddy, hire your child. Like, that's, you know, way more realistic in my mind to get help rather than just shut your phone off.
My vacation that I was just on was a little challenging because of my team of 4, like including my transaction coordinator, like 3 of us were out of town. And so I just knew I was gonna have to do some stuff, but I had a list of all of my transactions, my clients' contact information, everything that my backup would need. And then I didn't really have a lot of active buyers, so I didn't really tell them I was out of town. I was just like, okay, text me if they call or email, then I'll deal with it. But sometimes I find that if I let them know that, they'll just call somebody else because they don't want to bother me, which is obnoxious.
But you actually left your cell phone with them?
Not this time. The one where I left my cell phone was like 3 years ago. I went to Peru and I was just like, I don't know what cell service is gonna be like, and I just don't want to do that. But this time I was like fairly accessible, and like I would do like a little bit of stuff in the morning, but for the most part I kind of like left it, and my clients were super respectful of it, and we just dealt with everything when I got back that we needed to as far as inspections went.
And
But it was a lot of work getting it ready to leave, and a lot of work when I got back. I'm still catching up.
And I'll chime in on that. I think if you tell your buyer clients, especially that you're gonna be out of town, the chances are that they may call someone else. And you've gotta remember, let's do the social media, posting, hey, I'm in Mexico, but then they see you're out of town, if you haven't told them, and then they could be like, well, I'm just gonna call someone else. Technology is great, but it's also made us a prisoner to our phones. 15 years ago when you didn't have cell service in Mexico or Europe, that's the vacations I love to go on because it was like, I'm definitely, I won't have service there, I'm just, and I always over the years had a buddy, like you said, that in your office, that's who you always cover for each other, you don't pay each other, it's just, you guys need to do that. It doesn't necessarily have to be, if you're on a team, it doesn't necessarily have to be someone on your team. I mean, it could just be, someone here in the office that you're friends with and you trust, and that they're gonna take care of your people the same way that, you would take care of theirs, so.
Yeah, and on that note, I mean, you have to run your business how you feel most comfortable, but on Rob's note, when I go out of town, I typically don't tell my clients I'm going out of town. You know the relationships you have, you know your clients well. There are absolutely certain ones that I tell that I'm leaving, but others I just leave, I don't tell them, I don't post on social media while I'm gone.
Right.
That way, if they need something, they're not calling someone else, but I have that planned backup, right? So when they do reach out to me, or like Kelly, she planned So she could easily tell all her clients, hey, I'm not going to be available, but here's a list of the people you're going to contact and who are going to help you while I'm gone. So I think really just pre-planning is so important. I unfortunately haven't had a situation where I go on vacation and haven't worked. I've always planned to do some work while I'm out of town, but again, I pre-plan. If I know I'm going to have an inspection response, or I know someone's likely to write an offer, I type all that in advance. Even if I have to retype certain parts of it, at least most of it's done, it's in the loop, and I can do it quickly while I'm on vacation, and it's not a huge burden to me.
And I don't know about you, Jess, but for me, like, I have a young kid, so when I'm on vacation, this last vacation I ended by myself, but when I'm on vacation with a young kid, they nap a lot. So if you have kids, like, that's when I get work done on vacation, or I'm up a little bit earlier than everyone else, and that's when I get, like, emails.
Nap time. My kids will nap until they're in high school for that reason. How do I go back on here? Like that?
Yeah, there you go.
Where's that?
So now that we've touched on personal life, work life, I want to talk about, again, time blocking and time blocking for work and how to use your time wisely. The systems you have in place. So systems are going to be how you kind of organize your workflow so that your clients have the best experience, right? We're all building business. We want our clients to refer us and to come back to us. So having systems in place is really important for making sure your clients have the best experience. And then tracking, how to organize your tracking, what you're tracking, if anything. So time blocking, find a calendar system that works for you. I am a paper girl, so I have a paper planner where I write everything down. More likely than not, if I've written it down, I then remember it. Except for last week when I was an hour early to a training because I thought it was at 1 instead of 2. But figure out a way to track all of your appointments. I even schedule important follow-ups. So with clients, if I'm talking to someone, they're in my pipeline and they're maybe not buying until next spring, but I've touched base with them or had a conversation with them, I am going ahead and adding to my calendar for 3 months in the future to call them. That way I don't have to think about it or forget it. I am pre-scheduling those type of activities. Scheduling time to catch up. So like I said, Mondays are often kind of catch-up days from the weekend. I'm touching base with any listings that I have, reaching out to clients that maybe I haven't heard from in a long time, but I've decided that day works for me. You probably have another day that might work better for those activities. And then scheduling time for getting out in the community. This is sometimes how a lot of us get our business, is we're active in the community, we love our community, so make sure that you're scheduling time to do those activities. It can be personal time, you know, it's your time off, but I look at those as a time to reach out to my clients, to see people in my sphere that I don't often have time to do like one-on-one things with, but going to the farmer's market, I'm going to see like 5 clients, and it's something I enjoy with my family. So I time block that and try to schedule around activities like that. What else? Are all of you guys like electronic calendar people? Am I the only one that's old school in my paper calendar? Your paper?
Okay, there's Kate.
You get me fun a lot for that.
I do too. I get a lot of flack for it.
I mean, I was up until like 2 years ago, so I think I was still like a late adopter, but now it's, there's just nothing like it being able to like easily move, because I move so much around
push that to the next day instead of like erasing it. I'm just like drag and drop to the,
Yeah.
you know, but.
Oh, on time blocking, one of the things I want to mention are like those clients, you know, that are actively searching. I tell all of my clients in our initial meeting, I leave a little bit of time in every day for those last minute showings. So you know who you have actively looking, who are those clients. You can think even a week in advance, like, okay, I know Joe and Allison are looking for houses. They're available during the day, so I'm gonna make sure I have time available in the middle of the day next week in case something comes up. Or you know, if you're heavy with clients that look in the evenings, you're maybe not going to plan like a bunch of dinners, right? Because you have clients that are often looking in the evening. So kind of thinking about that and leaving a little bit of time in every day so that you can take clients out who are looking. And then you can always have activities to backfill those. But I like to leave some time open so I'm not scrambling last minute to like fit someone in for a showing. So systems. I am a big one in systems, and this is really tracking your workflow. So I've given you guys like everything that I use. I document my systems so that I can share them with anyone. Some of those worksheets are going to be nothing to you because I literally spell out like, all right, you're under contract, now send out the next steps email. You might be like, what is the next steps email? But this is so I can hand it off to people. I now have an admin, so I'm able to hand this off to her. She can follow through and check things off. I also use Excel, but there are some people that use CRMs. Does anyone in here use a CRM? No? I think we're going to have one available to us with our new website. Is that right, Rosie?
Yeah, so our new website launches hopefully the week before Thanksgiving, and there will be a CRM on the back end available to you to use. So I'm sure we'll do some training around that as it gets closer. We'll keep you posted. I don't have all of the details yet, but I'll let you know as soon as I do.
So I have a spreadsheet. I literally put all of my clients into this spreadsheet. The moment I start working with them, maybe as soon as I meet with them, even if they're looking to buy next year. And my Excel sheet has different tabs. So they're on that first tab in the beginning as kind of a lead. And then as they start looking at homes, as they're getting closer to that time when they need to find something, they become an active buyer. And then I have in that tab their criteria, everything that they're looking for. So this helps me, even if at some point they decide, hey, we're going to wait another year, I have all of their information and I can quickly reference what they're looking for. So if I'm calling them to check in on them, I don't sound like a moron if I've forgotten they're looking like in Broad Ripple, or they need a really large yard, or they want to be in a certain school system. I have all that information. I used to track this in a notebook, so you don't have to have an Excel sheet. Like, I had a notebook.
I really wish you would have brought the notebook because it was like about this big. It's amazing.
And instead of tabs in an Excel sheet, I had tabs in the binder. And like every client had their own like profile sheet essentially, had all their contact info on it, and all the details about them. And then I moved them in the binder as they like progressed. Super, super dorky guys. But it helped me. Like I used that notebook up until I want to say 2 years ago. So I used that notebook for like 5 years.
You're coming for the electronic calendar. I can see that.
Changing my ways.
Have you considered switching to Google Drive Sheets so that you can more easily be live time with your admin?
Right. So I have my Excel sheet. I use OneDrive. It's kind of the same as Google Sheets. So everyone on my team has access to it, can log in and see all of these email templates that we have that I reference in my protocols that you have there. That's where we keep the bulk of our information.
Okay.
But that's so important to have to keep things in a place where you can access it at any point, whether that be a notebook that you carry with you all the time, or an Excel sheet, like you can access it from your phone and your computer. That is so important in our business because we're on the go so much. Let's see, what? Oh, did it get printed? .loop, if you guys haven't started to explore .loop, there is a checklist in there now, which I'm absolutely going to utilize. I haven't started using these check sheets yet for my team, but I absolutely will. You can assign tasks to people. So right now I have that Excel sheet, and it's like, when you have a listing, make sure the listing paperwork is done. Schedule pictures, schedule a sign, like all of these check boxes along the way. I don't know if I'm going to need that Excel sheet to use it to that extent any longer, because we can use .loop kind of in the same manner and assigning it and creating these check items to make sure that you're doing everything the same for every single client. I tell my clients, you're not going to have to worry once you go under contract. You know, we do a buyer consultation, and I tell them, hey, you're going to have to think about insurance. You're going to have to make sure lender gets certain docs, although we take care of that. You're going to have to schedule inspection. Like, these are all the things that happen after you go under contract. Well, I have that all spelled out in an email. So I'm like, don't worry, you don't have to memorize this. You don't have to remember these things. We're taking care of that for you. And then you have to follow through and actually take care of those items and make sure they get all the information. So creating checklists so you can do it quickly is really important.
I also say on those task lists, so I created one, it's based off of what the Nottingham team does for their clients. But you can also create your own task lists, or team leads or team admins, or like you guys can create things that are specific to you that make it feel like the Clayton team or like how Spencer does it. So yeah, feel free to play around in there, make it your own.
Yeah. I use these checklists even before I had an admin. I use them for myself. So don't think just because you're an agent on your own that you can't use checklists. Like, it's almost more important because you're doing everything and you want to make sure that it all gets done.
It very much, this feels like, so I did a lot of project management in my past along with fundraising, and this reminds me a lot of some of our project management tools that they're just so nice to have. It's nice to be able to come in anytime and it's live to anyone, especially if you have an admin.
Yeah, and filling in information and making sure it's up to date. So I add the lender information every time, the title company every time. That can change with every transaction. And you don't want to have to go back through and search your emails to find out, oh my gosh, who did they order title work through? Because I wasn't in charge of doing it.
Right.
So putting it somewhere and having it organized so you can quickly reference it, and also reference the details of that pending transaction, like closing costs, and is there a home warranty? That way you don't have to stumble going through documents every time you're asked, or you're speaking to a client.
Well, and I think too, you always think you're gonna remember details, and like a week or two will go by and you've forgotten everything. So it seems silly to document as much as you can, but it will save you because, like, I mean, I still slip up sometimes where I'm like, oh, I'll remember that.
Yeah, I hate walking into an inspection, or the inspector's been there for a while, he's found out some information, you walk in, and he says, did they order a home warranty for this property? And your clients are standing right there, they're not saying anything, and you're like,
I have no idea. Good question.
So having that, so that you can reference it before you walk into that inspection, is so helpful and keeps you from looking like you have no idea what's going on.
I always just say, let me check my file.
Yeah.
And then you have to have a file to check.
One
Just
drive,
like, I could just see you
everything.
pulling out your binder though and be like, 1 moment.
That's what it is.
And it would be so impressive, like.
Does anyone else have anything that they use maybe for systems that they found helpful and they want to share with the group?
We've been doing all of this in Google Drive and Sheets. So like each team member has their own tab that has their pending buyers and their pending listings, and we basically have been like tracking like this. Lar has finally gotten used to it, but she's thrilled to get back into Dotloop because that's what she was working in. So she's really excited to switch us all over to tasks. But
yeah, and I had Rosie print out some of the things I use there, but really, if any of you ever want my Excel sheets, I'm happy to send them to you and share them. I've been using them for years. They're working Excel sheets. I change them. That's the important thing. Like, don't get stuck in your systems. Like, realize when something's not working for you, or if you're having a conversation with another agent who does something a slightly different way, ask why. They probably ran into an issue at some point that you don't want to run into, and use that as like a learning experience and change your systems. I think last year I was talking with Natalie, and she had a situation where a lender got a seller's disclosure, and it became the biggest headache for her. And I was like, oh, that's nothing I personally ran into. Like, I don't always send it to a lender, but I also, if another agent has like PDF the entire like purchase agreement with the seller's disclosure, do I take it out? You know?
right.
So that became a big learning experience for me. I was like, okay, so in my protocols, you'll see it says, do not send seller's disclosure to a lender. Because I've heard of other agents that have had issues. And I spoke to my lender personally about it, one that I use often, and said, hey, could this be an issue? He's like, well, if I see it come across my desk, I throw it out. I don't send it to underwriting. I was like,
is that Matt?
Is that Matt?
Yeah. I was like,
Just like,
oh.
don't send it, just leave it.
I was like, that's why I've never had this issue. But not every lender is going to do that, and I don't always work with that lender. So that was a really important learning point for me to take away from the conversation. Tracking. So I track past transactions. So this is going to help me with like mailing lists. And if you don't do mailing lists now, if you're a newer agent, just start tracking it, because in the future you probably will. You'll either start emailing people on a quarterly, yearly, whatever, hopefully not weekly basis, or sending out postcards for something. Keep all of that information. So I track all of my past clients. I have spreadsheets that go back all the years, and they're labeled. And I've gone as far as like tracking the date of their closing, their email, their phone number, information about their children. I think Mark's team is like super good about this. They track everything about a client, which can be really helpful if you have other systems in place on like how you're going to reach out to them, or when you have conversations, like the talking points. I'm not that detailed. Tracking your pipeline. So you don't want to track just like current clients, but maybe clients that are a year out, clients that you've had a conversation with and you're not sure when they're going to buy anything. But keeping all of that information like somewhere and keeping it organized is really important, so you can refer back. And then organizing and tracking your listings and your buyers that are under contract. That piece will probably fall more into your systems, but even if you don't have systems in place, just keeping that contact information all in one place can be really helpful. Yeah.
So with past clients, how often, if you do a mailing list, how often are you doing that?
Yeah, I email all of my past clients quarterly. I've come up with like a newsletter that I send out via email. And then I also have sent out, like when we did the rebrand, I sent everyone a postcard. So I sent physical mail to them, as well as sending out an email. I also keep a list of just the buyers that have purchased this year, And here in a couple weeks, I'll send out a reminder for them to file their tax exemptions. And that's really easy. MailChimp has a really nice free option that you can use for emailing large groups of people. That's one that I've used. That is all I have. Does anyone have questions for me? Rosie's going to go over some technology stuff. Anyone have anything to add for the group of things that they've found helpful in organizing your work? And
I can tell when like my personal life or house is in chaos that it impacts my work life.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely does. That's why I think it's important. That's why I touched on personal life. Like, I know it seems kind of silly to talk about our work or our personal life, but it's so important because it affects everything. It affects your business, your clients. I think they can feel it. If my personal life is chaotic and stuff is going on there, like, I feel like my clients can sense that, and I never want them to get that sense that things are unbalanced or things are too crazy or hectic. So.
I think that's why it's important to take the time to do the stuff that you need to do, because like, let's say your house is in chaos, like, I know you're gonna be thinking about that, right? And you're like, okay, I just need to take time to like, organize my home so I can think more clearly in my deals. Like, it's even little stuff like that that I've noticed.
Yeah.
I personally like will stay home purposefully when I know that I don't have a lot of appointments. I put my AirPods in, I clean, you know, I'll switch a little laundry, answer some emails, and so I call it like my glorified stay-at-home mom day or whatever. But I like go back into like house mode where I'm, you know, doing stuff in the house while I'm working, so that you know that doesn't get out of control.
Yeah, and that's what I did like all day yesterday.
Yeah.
And like I feel so good today. I'm like, oh my gosh, like everything where it needs to be, because it was not for like weeks.
Right. Like half of my client calls this summer were me in my garden hoeing. You know, so I mean, a lot of it is just, you know, you're hands free.
Are you breathing heavily? You're like,
Yeah. But yeah, I really utilize hands-free options as much as I can. Like with the AirPods, like when I'm driving, I mean, I do voice command constantly, you know, texting and adding appointments to my electronic calendar while I'm driving, just because, and for me, I have to do things right away.
Yeah.
So my latest thing is I have a to-do list on my phone, and so like to free my mind, I put it on my to-do list right away, or I set a reminder so that I'm not kind of because for me, if I have something like don't forget to call in, like I literally scheduled call mom this morning because so I don't forget to call mom, you know, and so just to free my mind, I know it's there, and that otherwise I literally won't sleep.
Yeah.
Like it will go right into like physiological stuff for me if I don't.
Yeah.
So I have to, you know, make sure it's written.
This is my insane spreadsheet to-do list, which has like long-term stuff, personal stuff. There's a lot of things on here, but then I prioritize it. So I have like the top heading is for things that really need to be done today or in the next couple of days. And then
Do you print it off weekly?
I print it off every like 2 to 4 days, depending on how much I mark off of it and how much I write on it. And then I also keep a to-do list. I use Anydo. I keep a to-do list on my phone, and so then like things that I know need to be done in the next couple days, or if I think of it and I don't have time to jot it down, I'll put it on that electronic to-do list, and then I'll transfer it to this list eventually. And I use a giant Sharpie to like mark things off because it feels really satisfying. And it's been really effective for me because I had all these like random scraps of to-do lists and things that I knew I wanted to do long term that I didn't want to forget. And so like some of them aren't that high priority, and the priorities shift almost daily in this business. So that's been
real old school Post-its, guys. I can move them from day to day in my
Look at you.
calendar.
That's, okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's like.
One thing you guys didn't touch on, expenses and mileage.
Right.
Yep.
Or you're asking.
Well, I thought it would come up, right?
Yeah. So part of my Excel sheet, I should go over this. Part of my Excel sheet, when I am tracking my yearly sales, I am putting in there the price of the house, because I always want to see like my year-to-date sales. And I also put in there my commission, how much I made from that sale. So I have meetings with my accountant like 2 to 3 times a year. He'll ask me like, are you on track? Like, where are you? I know, like, right away. I can tell him how much I've made, like, up until that moment. Expenses I'm not as good at. I literally just have, like, a file with, like, all kinds of receipts, and I try to go through quarterly and, like, put them in the right category on paper, not in an Excel sheet. That doesn't always happen. That doesn't always happen. But I just keep all of my receipts, and I have certain categories that I know I use every year for my taxes, and I assign the receipts to those categories.
I have a business debit card, so I put all of my expenses on the business debit card so that literally when it's tax time, I just go through that.
If you get audited though, you'll have to have the receipts.
Just shove them all in like a folder and label it like 2018. Like, I
But
see
that
it.
is a really good
Yeah,
way to
but
track
no,
your
but yeah,
expenses.
there's no way I would produce all my receipts. Because I can produce the statements.
Yeah.
So under my guess then, it's got all of my yearlies. If, sorry, we're in a business where like, it's a very high likelihood we can get audited for self-employed. I mean, and like independent contractors, it's fairly high for what I've heard, so.
If you are interested in tracking mileage and getting like that specific, there's a really cool app called Everlance that there's like a free version or you can pay like a small fee, nominal fee monthly, but basically it like can auto just like GPS your like route, and then you can add notes or add like, here's what I made off of this or something, you know, you can like include that in there, but you just like code it. And so if you're doing like a personal thing, you can like ignore those, or if you're, you know, have another business and you want to code it to that, and you're like, okay, this was a real estate something, you can just quickly like swipe against whatever organized tab you've done, and then it creates a report for you as well.
Our accountant tells us to use MileIQ, and I started doing the paid version, and I'm like, holy shit, like I have really been missing out on this mileage.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, I made vlogs, but they were like never real.
Well, and I.
You gotta spend more time making this up.
Yeah,
I think there's all these tools out there for mileage, and they're great. I mean, personally, I look at the mileage on my car on January 1st, every year, and I write it down. And I kind of see, you know, yeah, I drove 10,000 miles this year, and then I just pull a real estate number out of it. I just
Yeah.
Well,
I know my past percentages, what
honest.
percentages was business, and I do the same thing, which is not.
make it-
Well, the reality is, like, the IRS requires such level of detail that most likely if you get
Who,
audited,
what,
you're gonna
where,
get
when,
burned on your
why.
mileage. I mean,
Yeah.
so, cause it's, yeah, who, what, where, and like, coming to the office doesn't count, and going to, you know, like, all, it's like,
I think it does if you have a home office,
Mhm, it does.
according to Tom Long.
well,
Tom
okay,
Long got
but.
so much more money back this year. FYI, if anybody needs it.
I'm just saying, if the IRS came in and audited your file, if you couldn't provide data for every trip on that log, like, chances are your mileage deduction's gonna get affected anyway. So.
Hey guys, I'm gonna be brief, but my goal is to kind of show you some of the tools that we have existing that could help you organize yourself. The best way I learn technology is from seeing someone else like pull it up and play with it, so I wanted to show you guys today too. someone started using this, oh, sorry, let me grab my mouse up there. This handy dandy little tab that's on the side of Gmail a couple of months ago in front of me, and I was like, what the hell is that? And it has like all of these great tools that now I use every single day to keep myself organized. So I think most everyone is familiar with Google Calendar. So this is our demo training account. I switched it over so y'all wouldn't see everything that I do, but yeah, I'm not gonna go over Google Calendar tons because I think most of you know it, but if not, I can send you some more calendar invites so that you can learn. Okay, but the things that I really wanted to hit, so this is Google Keep. Think of this like if you guys have ever used Evernote before or your Post-it notes, you can use this to keep notes in all the time. And then you can pull it out so that you can see it in its full form. So Michelle and I were using this for training the other day. So, but you, you know, make your title, make your note here. Okay, a super cool trick here is that if you want this note to pull up and remind you, so for instance, you're like, hey, I want to remember to print off these papers when I get into the office, you can set pick place, and it'll, when you walk in the door of the office, it'll pop up and say like, hey, print off those papers or whatever. So, or if you're walking into a meeting at someone's house and you're like, I need to remember these notes in this meeting, you can walk into their house and your Google Keep note will pop up right there. So, yeah, I love it. You can also, so Google doesn't really do folders to stick this stuff into. So if you have, most of us have recently, well, since February, made the transition from Outlook to Gmail. And one of the big differences there is Outlook, you go into folders, but with Gmail, it's labels and archiving. So I'm going to get into email later, but this is the same, labels are the same here. So if you wanted to add a label, you can enter your label name here. I spelled training wrong, but let's just not talk about that. And then if you would click over here, all your things on trainings would go down. So y'all will never have access to this, but I have a note on almost every single agent in the company where I keep all of my thoughts on like, hey, I just had a meeting with, I know, sorry. Like, hey, I just had a meeting with Spencer. These are his kids' names. These are the things that he loves to do. And then I can type in, or I can just pull up my label agent info, and then all of that information on all of my agents. So,
Rosie note.
yeah. I also do this for all of my friends as well. So I have like a thing and I keep track of like, Melissa really likes avocados and like give them stuff like that. But okay, so that's Google Keep. Let me go back. So this is, we've talked a lot about tasks in this meeting, but this is Google Tasks. So
Is there a Keep app that you guys
there is. There's a Keep app and a Tasks app. I have both of them on my phone and I use them all the time. So, for instance, like Jenny, I'm someone who wakes up at like 4 or 5 on the dot every night, and it's just like I have stuff running in my brain of like things I need to do the next day, and I always just like lean over to my phone, write out all the things that I'm thinking about in my brain, and go right back to sleep. And I do that on the Google Tasks app. So you can add your tasks here. I'm going to say text Jenny, and then you can also add, if you're adding a date and a time to this, this will automatically sync with your Google Calendar, so it'll show up as a little reminder on your Google Calendar.
Can you assign tasks to people and share it with people? Like tell my husband to do that.
That'd be awesome. I don't think they have that yet, but maybe someday.
Does Matt have an electronic calendar? Is the question.
Yeah, that is the question.
Just like, hold on, this is looking pretty good.
You can also, so when you check it off, it just like gives you a little firework. And then you can also have different like task lists.
Get a
So,
Sharpie.
yeah,
you
not
get
a
a firework.
Sharpie, but so for instance, I have like my daily like running tasks, and then I have a task list that's like back burner, like probably get to someday.
Same, yeah, like your inspirational list, like when I
Yeah.
have time, I'm gonna pull in this project that I really wanna do when I have time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's that little side panel. Again, they all come in apps. I use them every day. I'm also gonna head over to Google Drive. I think most of you are familiar with Google Drive, but since I have a captive audience, I'm gonna show you how to find our shared drive.
Rosie,
Yeah.
while you're on the drive,
Yeah.
are you able to change the default setting that when you create a new folder in your own Google Drive that it's shared to the entire plant company?
It shouldn't be anymore. Yeah, Leslie brought that up a couple of weeks ago, and it shouldn't be
Okay.
shared anymore.
Okay.
Yeah,
We
let
could
me
all
know
see
if
each
it
other's
is.
personal.
Yes.
Yeah, everything was in
That's
it.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple little
Sure.
wrinkles like that in Google, but
I don't know how to get in there, but.
yeah. Okay, so if you go to the drive, it's
all
under
my sewer scopes.
shared drives, Plat Collective, and this is our team drive. You should have all of their logos, all of a bunch of important information. Something I just added recently is sign order forms. So if you come in here and you wanted to order open house signs or regular for sale signs, you can just come in here and order, and that form will automatically be sent to Emily or I, and we'll get the order started for you. So, know that that's an option. Okay, and then something cool I wanted to show you in Canva. So I am using Canva pretty much all the time now, and I found this handy dandy trick the other day where I can save my designs from Canva straight to my Google Drive. Some of you might already know how to do this, but this is our homework packet for agent training. I can click here, show more, in Google Drive, and it pulls up all of my folders in Google Drive, and I can just choose which one I want it to go into. So that saved me some time of like downloading it to my computer and then printing it off. I can just save it right in there. Okay, and then I wanted to quickly go over a couple of things that I do for email. So like Kelly, I also practice zero inbox, which to some might seem impossible. To me, I feel like insane if I have like an inbox that's crazy. So basically when I get into my email every day, the first thing I do before I actually open any is I scroll through and archive every single thing that is like junk mail or calendar invites or anything like that. So I go through and get all the random shit, and then I'm left with things that are actually productive. Yeah, and like I said, Gmail very much focuses on the labels and the archiving rather than the folders. So you can also, if you're going into your settings of your email, who has the send and archive button on your email? Does anyone have that? Okay, let me jump over into my... I have no idea what emails I've gotten, so if you're about to learn any secrets, sorry. Okay, so if I go to compose, gosh darn it, where is it? Okay, well of course the one time that I want to show it to people, it's like not pulling up. Aha, here we go. So this is a button that you can add in your settings that when you send it, it'll automatically archive this thread.
Where does it archive it?
Just away. It's just in the cloud somewhere. But it's like
So it's out of your inbox.
it's out of your inbox. It's not deleted, so you can still search for everything. And that's the big thing about Gmail. Like I've never deleted an email in Gmail ever, because you never know when you're going to need it again. So what you do instead of deleting is archiving it, so it's out of your inbox, but it's still there if you would ever need it. But yeah, this send and archive button saves me a bunch of time. And then I also really wanted to show you canned responses. Does anyone use canned responses currently? Okay, so if you didn't know, my last job was in tech sales, and I got paid to send emails all day, so I use canned responses 100% of the time. But basically, so when Jess is talking about that like next steps email to clients, you can program that into Gmail and just pull it in as a canned response. So I'm going to show you this 3 little buttons. I'm going to go to templates, and then so like if I have an agent transfer coming in, I have, hey, this is exactly how you transfer your license to the brokerage. So I have all kinds of different templates like that. But
where do you build those?
yeah. So let me show you. To do it, you have to enable canned responses. So you go to settings in your Gmail. I think it's under labels? Question mark? Nope, definitely not. Sorry, give me a second. Advanced. Aha! Okay. Templates. Okay, so you go to advanced templates and you enable that. And then if you go back to your inbox, you actually build them just in a regular email thingy jigger. So if this is my template. Oh, handy
You gotta
tip.
delete your signature.
Yeah, I always delete my signature because it'll pop up when you go to do it again. But, so once you do that, you'll go to templates. You'll go to templates. Okay. Mouse work is really hard when it's this far away from me. Okay, is anyone seeing where you save as template or save draft as template? So you just click that and it will, you'll have a subject line in there, but it'll save as whatever that subject line is, and then you can use it. So I usually go back in and customize my subject lines because, so for instance, I have one template that says like recruit, and I don't want to just like send that to a recruit.
So
'cause
personal.
That sounds a little, yeah, not great. But yeah, that's something that you can do. I think that's all I plan to cover on technology. Does anyone have any questions?
Can I share a little about what I use, how I use it?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
I've been
please.
using that for several years. And I use the labels a lot. So every client has their own label, and if they're selling and buying, those are 2 separate labels. So I just like, it's like B/last name / property address
Yeah.
for buyer or S for seller. And that's really handy because then all those emails are in one place. I don't have to search for them. I can go to the label or folder, not a folder, the label at the side. And I also have my email address set to always come to my inbox. So when I send an email, it pops into my inbox. It shows as read. But if I'm waiting on a response, I'll often leave it in my inbox until I get a response, so that I know that I'm still waiting on a response, that somebody received the counteroffer I sent or the inspection reply. And that's been super helpful. And if I don't actually need a reply, I'll just put it in the folder, so I know what I've sent to my clients. I do delete stuff, but it stays in like the deleted folder for 30 days. So usually by the time I would need it, I can find it if I search the deleted. And I use snoozing a lot on the features. So if it's something I know I need to do, because I like to use my inbox as a to-do list, but I don't like to have things in it, I'll snooze it to like 3 days later and like, okay, I need to have this ad done for this newsletter by the 15th. I'll snooze it to like the 10th or something.
And you can get real specific about the time too when that pops up. If you're
Yeah.
like, bring it up at 9 a.m. because I know I'm going to be at my desk. And then you just have like your 10 snoozed emails that are like there ready for you. Another thing that I like to use is filters. So you can, if you have your client email, you can filter and say, always label it as your buyer, whatever label, and then you can say like, never send this to junk, or always archive it, or you know, you can, whatever your little system is, you can program in, and it'll just like pre-populate it for you.
Anyone have last thoughts to add before I close this out? Guys, thanks so much for coming. This is an amazing group of agents, and I don't know, I think a lot of you know that I'm working a lot on our training program currently, and it only gets better when people like you guys show up, so thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so tomorrow, Mark is leading us in some sales training. The homework is to read the one chapter that I sent of how to win friends and influence people. We've been covering covering this as Platt staff. Like we read the whole book together and covered it on our retreat, and it's amazing. And Mark specifically has been amazing at like leading us through that. So hope you guys can find time to read and come tomorrow. But have a great day.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't hang in there.
Yes, drink that tea.
Yeah.
Yes.
For spicy included everyone and asked like what their thoughts were too.
Now I'm gonna be that agent that I
I guarantee you it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's me either, man. Always. Oh, Dunzo.